The second part of this flower, you're going to have to chain 5, slip stitch in that beginning chain to form a ring, and chain 3. This chain 3 will be your first double crochet. Now you need to double crochet 14 more times. You need a total of 15 double crochets in this ring. When you get to the end, slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 space from the previous round and chain 3 again. And within that same stitch that you just slip stitched into, double crochet. Then in the next stitch, put 2 double crochets. And you want to continue to put 2 double crochets in all the stitches around until you get to 24 stitches. When you get to the end of the row, slip stitch into the beginning of the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. Now you want to chain 5. And you want to slip stitch into the same stitch. Then chain 5 and slip stitch into the next stitch. My camera is messing up. Then chain 5, just like before. You want to chain 5, slip stitch in the same stitch, chain 5, slip stitch into the next, chain 5, slip stitch in the same stitch, then chain 5, slip stitch into the next. Continue that all the way around. And at the end of the round, you're going to have 48 stitches. Okay, I'm on my last stitch here. The last stitch of the round will go into the same place where you began, the same stitch. Okay, when you're in that round, now for the next round, you want to chain 3. And again, you'll be working with the back stitches like before. Slip stitch into the nearest left back stitch and chain 3. And continue doing this around until you have 48 of these little chain 3 petals. Okay, when you've got that row done and you have 48 little chain 3 spaces, you want to slip stitch into the nearest to the left chain 3 space, chain 7, then slip stitch into that same stitch, chain 7, and then slip stitch into the next. Then chain 7, slip stitch into that same stitch, chain 7, then slip stitch into the next stitch. And again, it's just like before. You're slip stitching 2 into one stitch, then you're chaining 7 going over to the next, then you have 2 stitches in this one, then you chain and go over to the next and continue that around. And when you get done with this row, you should have 72. When you get to the end of your row, I'm not going to continue mine because I don't plan on keeping this one. But when you get to the end of your row, you want to leave a long tail to sew on to sew the first part of the flower in, and then also to sew it to the pillow later. What you want to do is to fit the smaller piece there in the middle, and then take your tail and start to sew, lining up your 2. If you use a pen or a pencil, or you can use your finger, and sew along the inside of the ring until you've got it completely sewed. And then put the needle through the back so that you have a tail coming out of the back that you can use to sew onto the pillow. So this has been the part 2 of the large sunflower pillow.